Hello everyone and welcome to the DigitalShack.net. This is the second video to an introduction of VisualBasics.net. On the first video, I showed you how to download and install Visual Studios. Now, in this tutorial, I'm going to guide you through creating a simple app that will just simply going to ask you for your name and your age. And once you click a button, it's going to read, "Hello X, your name is Y." Keep in mind that X is going to be a variable, which is going to store the name of the person, and Y is going to be a numeric value that is going to store the age of the person. So in order to achieve that, we need to add labels so that the person knows what they're typing and where they're typing it. We're going to need the text boxes, which are input. This is where the user is going to place their name and their age, a button, and then we're going to need a way to show the person the message. So let's get started first with the labels and the text boxes where the user is going to enter information we need to process in order to create the sentence. Alright, so in order to get that, we go to Tools. From Tools, we go to Label. You're going to left click and hold, and then you're going to drag it out to the form here. I'm going to let it go now. Let's change first the display. This is the text that the person is going to see. That could be changed on the Properties window. By default, the Properties window is sorted by category, which will look something like this. Me personally, I like it alphabetical because I can search for a specific property by name. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So as you can see, here is where label 1 is, and it is label 1 here. That's what's displaying and what the user is going to see. Let's erase that, and we're going to type here name. The minute I type name and press enter, you'll notice that the text changed here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create another label. We're going to go to Tools. We're going to go to Label. Again, left click and drag. Drop it on the form. I would do it right under name. We're going to again change the text. We're going to name this, we're going to display text of age. Enter. Now let's work with the input, which is where the user is going to type in their name and their age. We go into Toolbox. Select text box. The same way we did with the label, we're going to left click and hold. Drag. Dump it on the form, and we're going to put it right next to name. I don't know if you noticed, but one thing I love about the form designer is these lines. They guide you to show you more or less where the where they're going to come out, and if, how aligned they're going to be to the object next to it. So it has the ability of detecting an object next to it, and more or less letting you know how aligned it's going to be. Now, we're going to need another text box. This one is going to be for the age. So we go to Toolbox, left click and hold, drag, drop it right on the form, and next to age. Okay. Now, unlike label, we need to name these boxes because we're going to be calling these boxes. I normally don't name the labels that are used just for display. But when it comes to objects or controls that we're going to need to get and give information to and from, it's always important to name it to something that you're going to remember. So for this particular tutorial, we're just going to have 2 text boxes. But as you continue to create applications, you'll notice that you're going to use a lot of different controls, and for that reason, it's important to keep track of what control is where and what it does. So for the first text box, we're going to click on that. On the properties windows, we're going to go all the way to the top. Again, in order for it to be on the top, you have to make sure you're in alphabetical. You're going to click on text name. You're going to click on name with parentheses. Highlight that here. Backspace or delete. And the name could be anything you want. I recommend you use a prefix, and the prefix identifies the type of object that you're using. So in this case, this is a text box. So my prefix would be TXT for text, and then you could pretty much name it whatever you want from there on. I would name it name, just so that I know what it is. Same thing here, because this is a text box, I will again delete this here, TXT, and this is going to be age. Now you don't have to use this prefix or the exact same prefix I'm using, but I highly recommend that you use prefixes, because if you intend to take coding seriously, at some point you're going to be coding with other colleagues, and it can be very confusing if you don't know what's where. We're going to add a button, so you go to Toolbox, button is right there, left click and hold, drag onto the form, and we're going to drop this right here. Alright, so at this point we already have our text boxes. We've already named them, and we've created the button that is going to execute the code when the user enters a name and age, it'll say hello, the person's name, your age is, and then the age of the person. Okay, so at this point now we want to add code that will execute whenever the user clicks the OK button. So that means that when the user types in their name and their age, after clicking OK, it should bring up a message box saying hello, your name is, and then the user's name, and your age is, and the user's age. So let's do that by double clicking OK. This will automatically bring you into the code editor, and here we're going to create a variable, and to do that we're going to declare what's called a dimensional variable. I want to make that clear. Dimensional variable usually is ran from within a sub-procedure, in this case an event. I guess at some point we'll get into that, perhaps in another tutorial. I'm just trying to show you this mostly for fun, in case you want to show off, or just getting a general idea of what VB.NET programming is like. If you guys are interested in a more specific video, let me know and I'll gladly make one up. Okay, so going back to what we're doing, if you type in DIM, this is called dimensional because it's a dimensional variable, space X, space as, space string. That's going to create a variable now that it's called X and it's of data type string. Now, on that variable, we're going to create a template text. To do that, we need to pass a value, and in order for you to pass a value in VB.NET, you have to add an equal sign, space. I use the $ and the double quotes. And the reason I do that is because the double sign allows me to use variables or controls directly from within the string. And I'll show you in a minute what I mean. The next thing we want to do here is within those double quotes, you're going to type hello, space, open curly bracket. This is why I like to use the $. It allows me to actually do this. And check this out. You remember when we declared the text boxes that we added that TXT? Here you go. See how easy it was? Versus having now to try and type text box or text box 1. So the fact that I predefined TXT now is bringing down or filtering it down to only similar objects that or objects that have the similar name. In this case, we only have two text boxes, one which is the name, the other one which is the age. Here we're going to put the name. So we highlight it and we hit tab. The dot is going to allow me to access the specific property or properties that I'm interested in. In this case, I'm interested in the text property because that's where the username is being stored. So dot text, we're going to exit the curly bracket, make a space. Your age is, again, we're going to make a space, open a curly bracket, txt, age, dot text. That's the property that we want to access. We close the bracket, dot, and we're done. Alright, so we've declared a variable storing a template sentence, calling the text boxes where the user is going to be typing in their name and age. The next thing we need to do is display it to the user once they click OK. How are we going to do that? The way I would do it to keep it plain and simple is use a message box. Visual Studio comes with a predefined sub-procedure or function that will automatically create a little form or a dialog box with button, and it'll display whatever text you pass to it. To achieve that, we're going to press enter to make a space. Then we're going to do MSG box. That's the procedure I was talking about. And now the message. Our message is X because that's what's storing all this information there. And if you do comma and you click OK, this here will automatically show you different buttons that could come up on that dialog box. Since we're not doing anything special, we're just displaying a message for the user to see it, we're going to use the OK only. So press down, or you can highlight it there, and then press enter. Well, you can use tab 2 instead, so let's just go back there. Alright, so that's done. Now we are ready to compile. So you've created your first application. Let's see if it runs. To build it, you're going to press F5. That's going to create the program or compile the application, and then it's going to execute it. And here it is. Let's type our name. So let's say the Digital Shack.net. And age, let's say 10 years old, why not? Next thing we do is click OK, and here we go. This is our message box. So this, when I typed in MSG box, that pre-creates this box here. And it's passing just the message that I wanted to show the user. As you can see, by me using the txt name.text, I'm grabbing whatever's in that box, putting it in there. So this is being replaced with the text that the user's typing there, and same thing happens with the age. This is all being replaced by whatever is within this box. Well, this concludes this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. It was meant to just be plain and simple, and I hope I achieved that. If you liked the video, like it and subscribe. Thank you.